Hey everybody, this is Chris Rand with Rand and Rand. This is lesson 3 in our video guide to successful copywriting. This lesson is called Building a Basic Outline Using Source Material. So if you tuned in for our last 2 lessons, you saw how I use for my writing technique, how I pull content from external sources and build it in a way so that I can reference it later during my writing and easily without getting confused about where content came from. And that way I can cite sources appropriately without doing any kind of plagiarism or risking that at all. And we'll do some more review of that later. So if you look at the screen right now, you can see I've got my content from my external sources here. I've gone ahead and created 3 groupings of that content from 3 different sources. We've got McKinsey, Forrester, and Forbes, 3 reputable publishers that we're going to use hypothetically for this assignment. Now I want to rewind a little bit. Whenever you get a copywriting assignment, you're going to get some kind of content brief, which is going to be a summary of what the client or your employer wants in this article. Sometimes that comes in a very workable way. As you can see here, I've got my internal source section. We talked about external sources previously. These are my internal sources. And my main internal source is that content brief. So this is a very straightforward brief that you might get. It just says what they want. They want to publish an article about working from home during the COVID-19 pandemic. And then they created a bullet list of some of the things they want to cover. How executives are responding, how employees are handling it, how working from home will affect the future of work. And then it ends with the call to action for the company, which is pretty typical of a blog post. You know, they'll try and get readers to take some kind of action, like email them or sign up for a service or something like that. So what I typically do with this content brief is I reference that for my outline. I've got these really simple bullets here. So what I've done is gone ahead and started my outline over here and just created these subsections based on those bullets. So each of these sections reflects the bullets here. And what I'll want to do is just kind of populate these sections with content as I work on the writing for those sections. It's a pretty straightforward approach, you know, and it's not like this is set in stone. These aren't necessarily going to be the section titles, but it helps me sort of organize my thoughts as I work on the writing. And what I'll show you right now is one of the first steps that you take in, towards the actual copywriting stage. You know, in my technique, I have a lot of stages that happen before the actual writing, and actually the writing portion of it doesn't take very long once you get there. So I'm just going to show you briefly how this gets started. Now, I have one internal source here, right, to start with, and that's my content brief. You might have more internal sources, and those would be other blog posts published by your client or your employer if you're writing for an employer, and you might want to reference those internal sources later. Right now, we're just going to be working with this one internal source, which is the content brief. So I've created the outline over here, and what I might want to do afterwards is sort of look at my external sources, my external content, and paste some of that content over here. So for example, here is a piece of information about executives and what they're doing. So what I want to do is just copy that with Control-C. Here's my section on executives. I'll go ahead and paste that over there. So this is going to be an important piece of this section, is some of the insights from this McKinsey article here, and that's why I pasted it there. So what I'll do is actually go ahead and go back to my sources and cross that out, since I'm not going to use that anymore. It's already existing in some form in my outline, which means in my article that those insights will appear in that article in some way, shape, or form. Either it's a direct quote or something else like a paraphrasing or offhanded reference or something like that, and not verbatim in those latter cases. But that's for another lesson. We'll talk more about populating an outline and how we transition from that outline into the actual writing phase of this method. So until then, feel free to contact us. You can visit rand-rand.com, go to the Contact Us section. We respond quickly and happy to answer any questions about our writing process or what we do as a company. We'll talk to you soon and tune in for the next lesson. Thanks.